come in, take a seat, and join us at the table for episode 9 of Famished, a Mr. and Mrs. podcast where we talk about memorable meals, their origins, why food is so great, and more. I'm Mr. Walkertodd, and I'm joined by
Mrs. Walkertodd.
And this week we are talking about New Year's traditions. Bib, what do we actually mean when we say that?
Lucky food.
Lucky food. What does that mean?
Just like either lucky food or like family traditions or food that's important to you to have, like New Year's Eve, New Year's Day.
So it's not explicitly countries or national traditions. It could be like a family tradition or something personal as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, anything, if you do it repeatedly, becomes a tradition.
True. So we're talking about the food that is encapsulated in that at New Year.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you got? Because I don't really know any, off the top of my head, I don't know any typical like New Year traditions.
Can you think of any food that's like lucky?
Lucky food?
Or even wishful?
Wishful food. Oh, a birthday cake. You blow a candle out on top. It's a wish.
That's not what I expected you to say.
Fortune cookie.
Oh, yeah. Fortune cookies.
Fortune cookies. Wow, wishes are actually kind of in food, huh?
Yeah, and then what else? What else is wishes?
What else is
There's
wishes?
something that we have here.
Wishbone chicken, when you snap a wishbone.
There we go.
Ah.
So that actually came from ancient Romans.
Oh.
And they actually saw the chickens as quite lucky animals.
Et tu, Brute.
And they were sort of seen as like lucky omens.
Okay.
They
still ate them though, right?
Yeah.
I guess that's how they got the wishbones. Otherwise it'd be a lot of very unhappy chickens walking around.
And then obviously there's like fortune cookies, it's just Chinese culture. But in terms of like other kind of food that's typically eaten at New Year, often it's green food. So lots of vegetables. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Because it's seen as symbolizing like good fortune and money and luck.
Oh, interesting. I figured like it would be like newness and renewal and like the turn of the year and like the start of fresh.
Well, interestingly, I also think it kind of ties into that whole like everyone goes on a health kick.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
For New Year, I was like, oh.
Maybe that's kind of like a happy accident.
Yeah, and then the other thing, like in China, they have quite a lot of food traditions in Asia.
Well, luck is a huge part of the culture, right? Like they have lucky numbers, lucky food, I guess. Yeah. Lucky symbology is huge. Lucky colours. Yeah, because red, when you said green, I'm surprised because I thought red in Chinese culture is like
they give the
money
little...
and luck. Yeah, the money envelopes with the red in.
Yeah.
Sorry, the red envelopes with the money in.
But on New Year's Day, they have soba noodles.
Which are, they're like
delicious.
The white ones. They're kind of thick.
Yeah.
Not quite udon, but thicker.
And they have those because they're very long noodles and they're meant to symbolize the lengthening of your life.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if I live longer by eating noodles, I am down.
And then turkey, what do you think they might have? It's turkey and Greece.
Just to clarify, okay, we're talking about the country, not the food, turkey. Because I'm like, that's more Thanksgiving. What would turkey... I mean, turkey, what is steeped in like Persian roots, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe a tea?
No.
Absolute disappointment. No, wrong, incorrect.
Go again. A fruit. It's a fruit.
Figs.
No.
Dates.
No.
I meant dates before. Just watching me sweat it out over here. I don't know. What else did...
Pomegranates.
Is that a Turkish thing?
Turkish and Greek.
Oh.
Seen as a symbol of abundance.
Nice.
And in Greece, they don't just eat them. No. They crush them up and smear them over the front of their houses.
What, the actual seeds or the whole thing?
I think the seeds, the juices from the seeds.
Yeah. Oh, cool. And that symbolises what, sorry?
Abundance and fertility.
Oh. I mean, I
and
guess...
they do it at New Year.
I guess I could, like, draw... You know, unlike most seeds, like the seeds of a pomegranate are kind of the best part. And also, like, when you bash it out, so many come out.
Well, this New Year's Day, we had pomegranates on our food, so I feel quite excited about that. But we'll come to that later.
Is that the duck thing?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about that later.
And then lentils. What do you think they symbolise?
Like being, I don't know, long-lasting, hardy?
No.
Steadfast?
No.
I don't know why you made me guess all of this intro, because like, I don't think I've got a single answer right yet.
No.
I feel like I've got good ideas.
So, again, it's along the lines of sort of good fortune financially, because they represent coins, I think because they're rounded, and also they swell.
I guess. How would I have guessed that correctly?
I don't know. I just wanted to see if you could guess.
Placing so much faith in my ability to know what.
And then, what's your least favourite food?
I don't know. I feel like
I love it. You're just panicking now.
I was going to say poison. I don't like poison.
No, fish.
Fish. I don't love fish. I don't know many. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's me hissing at you.
That
you
wasn't
don't
just
like
audio
fish.
static. She just hissed at me like a cat because that's a thing that she does sometimes.
This is one of my favourite ones. So I don't know where this comes from, but fish are seen as something lucky to eat at New Year because they swim in one direction, which is always forward.
I mean, sure.
Quite like the symbolism of that. And
Unless
they
you're
also
talking about the sharks in Deep Blue Sea. Ooh. Do you remember that movie?
No.
LL Cool J. Oh my god, it's amazing.
I've missed out. Clearly, I know what we're watching later.
It's got like genetically modified sharks, and one of them swims backwards, and I'm like, sharks can't swim backwards.
Do they talk?
No, it's not. It's not a Shark's Tale. That's a different movie. That's Will Smith.
I love it. A talking animal film on a Sunday.
We can watch Finding Nemo later. That's fine. Hello, my name's Bruce. Sorry, Pixar detour.
Also, they swim in massive groups. So again, it's that like abundance thing.
Schools or shoals?
So I thought it was shoals.
Is it schools?
I'm not sure now.
I don't know. One of those.
Because when I was reading stuff, it said schools, and I was like, I feel like that's wrong. Tell us if you know.
If you know, inform us, educate us. So fish is lucky because they swim in one direction. Okay.
Well, and I guess not lucky, but like a New Year's food, like that looking forward, looking to the year ahead.
Oh, just because of the directionality of said animal. I mean, I could also see, apparently this isn't something they picked up on, but like fish could be seen as lucky because like catching a fish is not a surefire thing, and it can be a quite hard process, and when you catch a fish, that's quite lucky.
Look at you.
Is that a thing?
It should be.
I mean, that makes sense to me.
It does.
Yeah, like the luck of catching a fish.
And then my favourite one
Yes.
is the donut.
Okay.
Because you're coming full circle.
I mean, is this, maybe we need to talk about this
I think this is bullshit.
in its own episode. But is a donut American originally? We don't know.
Yes.
Probably. So,
it is.
So this is an American tradition?
I
maybe?
think it's a tradition that someone's decided that they want to eat donuts on New
Someone
Year's Day.
made the donut. It was like, this hole in the middle is really convenient. Like, it makes it easier to hold. Also, I totally intended for this to also represent a thing. Yeah.
And then
So
I
you
was
come
also
full circle because of a donut.
yeah, I was educated by Modern Family, one of my favourite shows,
Literally every day.
by Gloria.
Yes. Who is Colombian.
She's Colombian.
I can't do a Colombian
It was
accent.
a really bad
It
one.
was so bad.
So she mentioned a tradition in the show that actually turns out I think it originates from Spain,
Oh, okay.
but it's that on New Year's Eve you have grapes and you eat 12 grapes, one for every month of the year, and for each grape, as you eat it, you make a wish, and that's you making a wish for each month of the year. And I thought that was really nice.
That's really cool. So it's kind of like an advent calendar, like where you have like a daily representation, but
Yes,
wants and wishes. That's nice.
that's really nice.
That'd be a nice one to like adopt, steal,
Ooh.
appropriate. Don't do that.
Well, you can. It's nice as long as you celebrate the culture it originated from.
Yeah.
And now I just want to go to Colombia.
Can't go anywhere right now.
I need a holiday. But yeah, we asked some of our mates, didn't we?
Yeah, because, you know, we very lucky to have people who, like friends of ours who live internationally and are from various cultures. So we figured we'd reach out and see if anyone had traditions that they'd adopted for their, you know, New Year's practices, be it specifically their families or from their culture. And yeah, I think we kept, 3 different clips for the show today. So who are we going to start with?
I think we will start with Gracia.
Let's go for it.
Hi, my name is Grecia and I am Guatemalan American. New Year's is always fun in my culture. In Guatemala, our New Year's tradition revolves around music, good food, and fireworks. But I always look forward to the food that is prepared by the amazing women in my family. Tamales are a traditional dish that we enjoy during this season. There are many different kinds of tamales, but my favorite are tamales negros, or black or sweet tamales. It is made with a dark mole, which is a sauce that is prepared with chocolate. It has masa, which is dried corn flour. It has raisins and prunes, almonds, and the tamal is wrapped in banana leaves. We eat it with a slice of bread and a cup of delicious coffee.
That was adorable
Yeah.
and insightful.
Very insightful. So Gracie is a good friend of ours. I met her whilst working out in India.
Yeah.
She lives in America. She's Guatemalan American.
Like she said.
And yeah, we've met loads of her family because we went to her lovely wedding, to her lovely husband Josh in LA. And we spent quite a while out there with them.
Culinarily, like they have a great kind of cultural background because Josh is Mexican as well, so you get amazing Mexican food. Do you remember his dad gave us cactus?
Oh yes,
So
barbecued cactus. It was so delicious.
Maybe save that for another episode.
Yes.
It's a Mexican episode. But sorry, Guatemala, Gracie just told us about. I like how she says it as well because she has the actual correct accent.
Oh no, it sounds amazing.
We say tamales.
Yeah.
Tamales.
Tamales.
I don't even. Like,
I don't think I even said that right.
Probably not.
Sorry, Gracie.
Yeah. I still don't fully understand. Like, what do they look like? Like, what are they?
A parcel of rice with stuff inside it, and then
a leaf. I thought that, and I was surprised that then she said that they eat it with bread, because then that sounds like quite a heavy like. But there's
loads of places where they eat bread and rice at the same time.
That's true.
But it originates. I was looking it up because we've only ever eaten a tamale once.
It was not the best.
It wasn't the best experience.
I think
that was not the tamale's fault.
It was a frozen tamale that was not fully unfrozen.
We didn't buy it.
We did not buy it.
I would like to caveat that.
We were fed it.
So they're actually super old. So they date back to like 5000 BC.
Are we talking like... No, my history is rubbish. Are we talking like Aztec? Mayan?
Look at you.
Yeah. It feels like that kind of... Like, especially the fact that she said there was chocolate in it, because chocolate was like a whole thing. Cocoa was a whole thing in that.
Very true.
That culture.
So they sort of come from Mexico and Guatemala, I think mostly from...
South Central America.
And then it's kind of spread throughout.
It sounds real good.
They were invented because obviously they're super easy to eat and take with you.
Because it's kind of like in the parcel. You said it was a parcel, right? Is that the leaf is the parcel?
Yeah, right. Banana leaf. And
this is a big leaf if you've not seen a banana leaf, so you can probably have a nice big amount of food to carry around with you.
And they are considered as sacred and sort of the food of the gods, which I think is why they're used in so many celebrations and, like Gracie was saying, very much part of New Year's celebrations.
Sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, she specified, was it tamales negros, black tamales?
Yeah.
But I mean, there's I think all manner of like different savoury and sweet options.
Yeah.
In some of the information I have here, red tamales owe their name to, I think that's achiote. I don't know what that is.
No.
As an ingredient, maybe a plant-based thing. We'll look it up later. And tomato, and are made with corn dough stuffed with ricado rojo, raisins, chili peppers, chicken, beef, or pork wrapped in banana leaves. So that's a kind of like sweet and spicy.
Delicious.
With meat, which sounds super good. Cambray tamales contain raisins and almonds. Sweet tamales are filled with sweet red Ricardo Rojo. Black tamales we talked about. Chiplin tamales. Oh my god, there's so many tamales. Chiplin tamales. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of all of these, by the way. I apologise to anyone who actually knows how that's said properly. Wrapped in corn husks instead of banana leaves, interestingly. Parrot tamales.
What?
It doesn't say what they are, but interesting. Cream tamales with cheese and anise seeds. So that's kind of like a kind of aniseed-y...
Oh, aniseed cheese. I don't know how I feel about that.
Aniseed is always a risky ingredient. Chuchito is a typical and emblematic dish of Guatemala. It's a variation of the tamale made with corn dough, but a firmer consistency. Although lard can be added to the dough to generate a more pleasant taste and consistency. It's usually mixed with Ricardo Rojo.
Okay, wrap it up.
Chicken I mean, it's the same as the one from earlier. I mean, they all sound real good.
Although I do feel disappointed that we've spent a lot of time with Gracie and I haven't had a tamale.
Yeah, that's true.
Although she did make that Guatemalan hot chocolate.
Yes.
So the block of chocolate comes from her grandmother in Guatemala, and then she like grates it down and she makes really magical hot chocolate with it.
Very good. So we can't say we've been completely like sidelined by her cultural cuisine skills, but you know, just an excuse to see her again.
Hi guys. Okay, so our next one is here.
Traditionally around New Year, we would eat leftover turkey, gammon, salmon and pigs in blankets, either cold as salads or reheated as risottos, spiced up with curry or as soups. And for dessert, there was always some homemade crunchy chocolate biscuits and fruitcake. But this year, traditional went out the window as the pandemic hit us and plans changed. I had allowed for daughter-in-law's diets too when shopping. Vast amounts of fruit and veg were all consumed, experimenting with new recipes like black bean veggie wraps and common roasted cauliflower tagina, yummy. Red sauerkraut, now that is my traditional, and a spoonful with most dishes goes down a treat. Lots of eggs too, as I had planned traditional boiled egg with soldiers for the kids. Soon became omelettes, scrambled or poached for me. An Italian panettone cake has become a traditional cake instead of traditional royal iced fruit cake. However, a vegan or gluten-free version I discovered and bought were horrible, dull and boring. No amount of jam, butter or chocolate will change its flavour. And then, one large bottle of Champers Laurent Perrier with a large box of Godiva milk hazelnut oysters. Tiny bite sizes, each individually wrapped in gold paper. Together they gave me the biggest ever headache. Okay, I didn't have to consume them all at once. But as I was going nowhere during lockdown 3, what else is one supposed to do whilst viewing the latest box set on Netflix?
Sort of like the long shred symbols long life. And...
So kind of like the noodles.
Well, and really interesting if you actually think about where fermented cabbage originates
Think
from.
about what kimchi and Korean food and that kind of stuff.
And China. It comes from China.
Fascinating. It's all linked.
It's all linked.
So yeah, long life is a whole big deal in food for New Year's, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of the food traditions seem to really focus on fortune, as in money.
Yeah.
And long life.
Yeah, prosperity in those regards. You got one more for us?
We've got one more.
Who's this from?
This is from Jeff.
Jeff. Who's Jeff?
Your dad.
My dad.
Ready?
Usually by the time New Year's Eve comes around, we've pretty much eaten ourselves to a standstill over Christmas. So we don't really have a set New Year's Eve type of food, except maybe a tapas, because under normal circumstances, we would have people round, and so it would be good to have a selection. I suppose one of the things that I would always refer to would be little sausages in honey and whole grain mustard, because they always go down well. But it's that kind of either finger or cocktail stick food. We're almost going back to the 70s, I suppose, in terms of eating things on sticks. But really, New Year's Eve for me is more about the drink. And of course, you're always going to bring in the new year with something sparkling. And now that's reverted to Prosecco these days. But overall, there's nothing that I could point to that I would say is traditional as such. Indian foods, on the other hand, I think you would end up eating Indian sweets, and again, these are finger foods. So that's barfi and different types of really, really sweet, sticky Indian sweets. But there's nothing that I could actually point to that we would revert to every year. Hope this helps. Always love listening to Famished. Talk to you soon.
I forget about the mishti in New Year's, or just like in my grandparents' house around Christmas and New Year's. Like,
Really?
yeah, it's just a thing that is just there. Like, it's not always available, but when it is, I'll try one. I'm not the biggest fan of the stuff, but depending on which ones you go for, they can be pretty awesome. And also, speaking more specifically to like my household growing up and Christmas times and New Year's at home in general with my parents, mini sausages is definitely a key component of the food there. Like, obviously at Christmas it's like devils on horsebacks, pigs in blankets, that kind of thing.
When your dad mentions mini sausages, it just makes me laugh because I just think of the fact that every year myself and your brother have a fight to the death of who's going to get to eat basically all of them.
I like that no one else is really in on this fight, so
No.
it's just between the two of you.
Yeah.
But the mustard, like honey mustard dressing on cocktail sausages.
Sticky and delicious.
Oh boy. But yeah, those things, you can just pop them like it's nothing. So good.
And interesting about the whole canapes, foods on a stick.
I was thinking about the functional nature of that, and I think it's because everyone's eaten so much in the lead up to New Year's. Like by New Year's, that's why drink and like popping champagne is like the most, I think, famous thing, because everyone's too full to eat like a big meal, so they just want a few nibbly bits and a glass of bubbles, and that's a good way to bring the New Year's before you keel over.
But in terms of the whole Indian sweets thing, I mean, whilst I lived out in India, I had multiple Indian sweet situations, and you did when you came to visit. No, I wasn't. But they were always brought out at celebrations.
Sure.
Any sort of like happy time.
Do you remember the name of the diamond shaped almond based ones with the silver leaf?
That's what he mentioned. Barfi.
That's Barfi, isn't it? Yeah, that's it.
But I really like I think it's gulab jamun.
Oh man, they're so hardcore.
They're really hardcore.
Other than like a fried ball.
It's and then it's soaked in syrup. So when you bite it, it's like all this syrup kind of oozes out. But you can get really good ones. Some of them I don't like the darker coloured ones. I think are tastier. They're like a richer flavour.
Is it just they caramelize the syrup more?
I think so. Right. And I think they've been cooked in a different way. Even if they are cooked, I don't even know. Yeah. And then I really love a jalebi.
Jalebi's the one that they've piped
into hot oil.
Yeah, piped in.
They are literally piping liquid sugar into hot oil, and then you eat it, and they're so good. And actually, I associate those with your grandparents' house.
Yeah, they have.
And your granddad always being like, "Eat one of these."
Oh my god. The snack game at my grandparents' house was always so strong. I remember from being the tiniest kid going in, the first thing when you walk into the lounge was the biscuit tin that every, I think, grandparent seemed to have. But then I just had that extra dimension of all the extra Indian snacks on top, and it was so good growing up.
And we also then had, for our wedding, we had our Indian afternoon tea.
I mean, we still have some Barfi in the freezer.
Yeah, we do. Because we had...
Bearing in mind we got married a few years ago at this point.
We had quite a lot of Indian sweets and snacks and stuff served with tea, which was really, really nice. Because I do feel like Indian culture do really good celebratory food.
Yeah, they love a pie.
Yeah.
I think maybe there's the distinction to be made that some of the food we've been talking about this episode has been specifically about New Year's, but a lot of it is just celebration food from various cultures that is going to be present at New Year's.
Yeah, and it's nice. It brings everybody together, which I always think. No, the celebratory food.
Oh, of course.
It's
everyone's going to crowd around the food.
Everyone's going to crowd around the food, which is really nice.
Yeah, super nice.
What do you think our New Year's tradition is? Or traditions? I
mean, culinarily, I was kind of racking my brains for this one. I was like, well, I know we'll have a glass of bubbles at some point in the evening, maybe when we're watching the fireworks. I think it depends whether we're because of where we are now, where we live right now, we can either go out to see fireworks because of the viewpoint over the town, or we can stay at home and watch the TV BBC high production value version, but just stay cozy at home. And I think that has an effect on what we drink, because I think it'll either be bubbles at home or hot chocolate out and about. And then in terms of food, I just thought of the typical when we want to have a fancy night in, we kind of like finger food as well, with the maybe crudité and hummus and dips like that, and then some selection of Italian meat, cheese board perhaps. That's what springs to mind. I don't know if I've got that right, but I think that's what we usually go for.
We do. And then I think on New Year's Day...
I was like, did I say the right thing? Is that what we eat? I don't know.
Stop that! You do know what you put in your mouth.
I just panic.
As you can tell everybody, Todd is really enjoying this episode.
Because I'm being quizzed constantly.
You quizzed me in the last one.
About what?
Sausage rolls.
Yeah, on a quiz we'd already done together.
No, don't tell people that, otherwise it's like I was cheating.
Secrets. Part of the kimono. That's a phrase from another podcast I heard that I love.
We usually try and cook something new.
Oh, this ties into what you were talking about earlier, yes.
We do a different recipe, something we haven't tried before. There was one year which was really, really nice, which sticks out in my memory, where Todd made 3 dishes, all from a Jamie Oliver cookbook. One of those cook in 15 minutes, but actually it's 45 minutes.
I have no recollection of what I made.
It was so lovely. He did it was all quite nice and light. So he did two salads and a spaghetti dish. I think the salad was... Oh God, I can't... The spaghetti had balls of mozzarella in it and fresh basil and
I do not remember
cherry
this
tomatoes.
Dish. But as long as you liked it, I'm happy.
Garlic.
Yeah, I mean, that's an easy win.
Yeah, it was good. And the salads were lovely. I don't remember what they were, but they were really nice. And then this year, we did a...
We drove around a lot to find the
my
key
God.
ingredient.
So I found this recipe in the Waitrose magazine that was by these 2 Chinese female chefs. It looked really nice, sounded really nice, and was something a bit different. So it was a duck curry with an spiced apple salad.
Nice.
So I thought, oh, the apple would be nice
That's
and
what I'm
light.
saying. Nice. I ate this. Wow, that sounds really good.
You ate this, and you also went to 3 different bloody supermarkets to try and find duck legs.
Yeah, it was really hard to find those.
We went to Wing Yip, which is a huge Asian supermarket, and they did not have a duck leg in sight. They had whole Peking ducks in the freezer.
Didn't want that.
So
We made it work though.
we made it work. It was delicious.
Oh my God, it was so good.
It took a little while to make, but it was well worth it.
Yeah, well, maybe, once a year. That one's... We can roll that one out.
But yeah, I quite like that idea of like doing something a little bit different. You've had all the traditional same old food that you have every year for Christmas. Why not mix it up and be a bit experimental and creative in the kitchen for New Year?
What are we going to have next year? That's the question.
That is the big question. I'm intrigued if there are any traditions that we've heard today or that we've talked about that you're like, oh, let's do that.
I would be up for trying tamales as a New Year's food. That sounds like a fun one to try.
It does.
Because I feel like, we got a bad first experience with tamales and they sound delicious. Especially the black tamales.
Yes.
Like the kind of chocolatey, sweeter
Delicious.
one.
Well, maybe we can get Gracie to give us a lesson. Gracie, if you're listening, we're excited.
Bullying her into an online cookery course.
Yeah, basically. We could try and make those for our next New Year. Maybe that's this year's New Year's resolution.
What, make someone else's food?
Make tamales next year. Maybe this year.
For, next year. For sure.
Maybe next weekend.
Yeah.
Now I want
Maybe
to eat them.
Now I'm hungry.
Now.
Let's quit the show.
Should we go to the shops?
Yeah, that sounds really good. If you have any of your New Year's traditions that we didn't mention in the show, you want to tell us about, you can absolutely let us know, and we can maybe mention it in a future ep or on one of our social platforms. You can find us at Famished Family on, I think, Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah.
And give us a follow. And if you enjoyed the show, why don't you hit us up on, probably best to write it on Apple Podcasts, even if you don't listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, but the reviews there matter the most. So if you could take 5 seconds to write a little review, that'd be really awesome. And we'll see you next time. I've been Mr. Walker Todd.
And I've been Mrs. Walker Todd. Thanks for joining us at the Famished table. And don't forget, always leave room for more.